Roster moves, yeah, we built from the grind. Draft day gems and the best all around. Scout on the tape, breaking it clear. From first round lock to the late round tier. Cap space tight, left divisions wide. Future of the league, we along for the ride. Holland and Andrew on the grind non-stop. With roster meets draft, we stay on top.
Welcome back to the Draft Fellows podcast. I'm Andrew Mertig. That is Kyle Fellows. Together we are the Draft Fellows. Make sure you're checking out our channel on YouTube or the audio version on your favorite podcasting platform. Kyle, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. You know, we're enjoying a great start to the NFL season, a fantastic start to college football as well. So fun to be back into the fall routine of watching, on Saturdays, Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, all of it. It's also good. But, how are you?
Really good. Same. Like it's been a whirlwind of a week. I can't believe we are basically on the precipice of kicking off week 2 already.
Yeah.
We are into week 3 of the college football season. So there is just so much going on. All of it's very exciting. Hard to keep up with it. I'm in way too many fantasy football leagues.
Yes.
And it is keeping me very busy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, those are important. You got to set those lineups and, prioritize the important things in life. But we wanted to launch into the topics that we typically will cover most weeks throughout the year, right? Essentially, we're going to be paying attention to college football to get ready for that next class, the 2026 class, and what rookies are going to make an impact around the NFL from this last draft, right? So we're going to talk about both of those things. Let's get started. Jump right in here with a review of weeks 1 through 2 of the college football season and week 1 of the NFL.
Yeah, I wanted to jump back a week and talk a little bit about Arch Manning from Texas. And of course, he is the biggest name in college football, and the lineage is obvious. And, I've spent quite a bit of time actually without you doing solo shows talking about this upcoming quarterback class. Arch Manning's the biggest name, but that does not necessarily mean he is the most pro ready, or even that he will be part of the 2026 draft class. And I think the hype was probably always a little too much for him to live up to in week 1. He's essentially a first-time starter. I know that's not technically true, but really, this is the first time he has the reins of the team. He's going on the road against an elite defense in Ohio State, and he struggled. And I think that's probably understandable if you take away his last name. And I don't, it doesn't mean he won't turn it around the rest of the season. And I don't know that I was ever convinced that he isn't returning for next season, no matter what happens, no matter how good he was. But it's a rocky start when I think we should have expected a rocky start. So no surprise to me. I think Arch still has all the tools to be a really fantastic college and eventually a pro quarterback. So let's let this story unfurl itself. I can say, this is supposed to be a dream season for Arch in Texas, and it didn't start off that way. It's off to a little bit of a difficult beginning, but I don't think you just throw away the prospect at this point. You don't give up on him. He has a lot of really admirable traits, and I think the rest just needs to catch up to where we want him to be. But let's give him the time to get there.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of an unfair thing, right? And you hate kind of defending someone who has kind of had everything handed to them on a silver platter in a lot of ways, but at the same time, he hadn't done anything yet, and everyone just had these crazy high expectations for him. And so I think you're right. It's a balance of okay, he's just getting his feet under him. He does have the lineage. He does have the traits. Let's let it play out. So it's going to be it's going to be a waiting game to see what we actually get with Arch Manning, but let's give it that time. I'm going to stay with quarterback here, and I'm going to talk about Baylor quarterback Sawyer Robertson. And this is someone who entered the season a little bit underrated. I think the helmet might have had something to do with that. I really can't remember the last stud quarterback that's come out of Baylor. I mean, RG3, but that's been a long time ago, right? But after a hot start, Robertson it's hard to continue to overlook him, right? He's at 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions through the first 2 games. And so, of course, projecting to the 2026 draft, we're going to start talking about a guy like that, right? And he's got the prototypical size, 6'4", 220, to go with above average accuracy at this point, and he's played with a lot of poise, especially to start this season. So this is someone I think we could continue to ascend boards this fall. It's obviously early, but early returns suggest that maybe Sawyer Robertson is someone that we should probably keep an eye on.
Yeah, some real Bryce Petty erasure there by you,
Yeah, sorry about that.
dismissing his great tenure at Baylor. But I think this is fascinating to me because I don't know anything about Sawyer Robertson, and because of the way the last like 2 weeks, football and personal wise, have gone, I haven't had a lot of like a chance to like really dig into other college football games. And so this is a cool addition to the list. Like I scouted probably 7 or 8 quarterbacks over the summer that could potentially 2026 class. Robertson was not amongst that list. So we know quarterbacks are going to come into this picture and be considered. And you telling me about him got me excited to go watch Sawyer Robertson moving forward as well. And now we're going to transition over to some rookies who made a big impact in week 1 of the NFL season. And where I wanted to start was, of course, on the offensive line, because that's me. And I'm going to go with offensive tackle Armand Membu for the New York Jets. He was my top offensive tackle in the 2025 class. And boy, did he make me look good in week 1. According to Pro Football Focus, say whatever you want about PFF, but he had an elite run blocking grade of 90.3 and also a really good pass blocking grade of 78.6. In fact, Membu was the highest graded offensive tackle in all of the NFL for week 1.
Wow.
And
wow.
the Jets, yeah, right. And the Jets offense looked fantastic. A lot of credit will deservedly go to Justin Fields, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. But Membu and company being excellent up front is going to make life much easier on this offense. And we know head coach Aaron Glenn understands the value of elite tackle play based on his time in Detroit. And Membu has provided that so far. So I'm very excited to see what comes. This was great. Like Membu and that offensive line looking great despite the Elijah Vera Tucker injury, I think was super impressive. And for a rookie to jump in there and be that good week 1 with a tough challenge against those Pittsburgh edge rushers, super impressive, and love the start that Membu is off to.
Yeah, you love it for the Jets. It feels like they've been playing musical chairs on the offensive line for a long time and, signing vets, trying to fill holes. And so if they can hit on somebody like Membu, good for them. Way to get things on track, building through the trenches there. But I'm going to talk about Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Surprise to no one. This was a prospect that I really loved throughout the process. And he started out really well. He caught 4 passes for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns in his debut. One of those touchdowns was a game winner in the final minutes of the game. Just a pretty impressive start for the Ohio State product. I think there's context here that you have to include. Of course, Chris Godwin is out right now, but players who start like this, who start this fast, they tend to pan out just fine, right? And so I think you expect that with Egbuka. One of the easiest evals that we've probably seen in a while. From the wide receiver position. I think that there's a ceiling on a player like this, but absolutely a guy who's going to be a target hog and just someone you can run your offense through with, I think, a lot of consistency. And it sure seems like he's making a clean transition to the league there with the Bucs really, really early.
Yeah, and Egbuka was somebody both of us really loved in the draft, saying like this is somebody who has the potential to get off to a really hot start because of how polished he was in college, how pro ready he was. Maybe he didn't have the same publicity of some of the former Ohio State receivers that came before him and that he played with in college, but man, is he off to a hot start in his pro career. And I'm going to go for somebody who lost in the Tampa Bay win, and that is the Atlanta Falcons edge rusher James Pierce Jr. And this is probably a little controversial because this is somebody who the Falcons gave up a fortune on draft night to go get. And while it was not a move I approved of, I could at least see the argument. So, like for me, go get a guy who is going to just go after the quarterback. It's the thing that this team has been the worst at, maybe in the entire league over the last 20 years. And Pierce gives them an opportunity to do that at a top-notch level, even if it's costly, even if he's not going to be good against the run early in his career, or maybe ever. But Pierce had a really strong start. He only had 15 pass rushes in the game, so small sample size. but produced 4 pressures, including 3 hurries and 1 quarterback hit. So 4 pressures on 15 pass rushes. I'm going to take that 100 times out of 100. And maybe that is not sustainable as he gets more seen on tape, as he gets more reps. But that is a very fast start, even with that small sample size I talked about. So he could be a major factor in getting that pass rush right, even in a very specialized role. And I think maybe even making this Atlanta team into more of a competitor in this division. So most of that is going to be forgotten in a painful divisional loss, but I think the outlook is looking up for James Pierce Jr. And then as a result, the entire Atlanta pass rush.
I love that you like have such good content on like your like vegetables, eat your vegetables players. Like you got an offensive lineman and you've got an edge rusher. So important. And I'm like the fantasy football guy over here. I'm talking to Emeka Ibuka, and I'm going to give the people what they want right here. And we're going to talk about a running back. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite, Ja'Cory Bill Krosky Merritt. And this is a fun story, right? Like, how can you not love this? All the Twitter buzz about how Bill was going to come in and lead the Commanders running back group after the Brian Robinson trade. Even before that trade, he was having just an incredible camp, and people were saying like, this guy is going to be the starter. And then you start to hear, well, don't forget about Eckler. You know, Chris Rodriguez. No, he's actually going to be the guy that they give the ball to near the goal line. All these kinds of things. No, Ja'Cory. I mean, he got 10 carries in this game, so like he's got a ways to go. But Ja'Cory is going to be the man in this backfield. He delivered 82 yards on 10 carries, also scored. Just a cool start to a career for someone who clearly still has a long way to go. But as a 7th-round pick, unheralded coming into the league, I think it's just a pretty cool story to see, like, you know, what he's already doing in the first week in the league.
Yeah, super fascinating, right? Like the story is amazing. He was really productive at Alabama State and then New Mexico. He transfers to Arizona, and then he plays 1 game, I think, his entire last season there. Like really unfair to him,
right?
But he makes the most of his opportunity in Washington and doesn't just make the team, but now he's making, a big splash. And as Packers fans, we're hoping he doesn't have a great week too. But I think, he's going to stress and test the defense, and he's going to be given a lot of opportunities. I know a lot of people like to hearken back to Alfred Morris as kind of a guy who came in this very similar situation in Washington. But I think any running back who has the requisite skills has an extra opportunity to be very successful, because Jaden Daniels is always going to give you at least half a man advantage in the box, because somebody's got to keep their eyeballs on him. And so far, Bill taking advantage of it.
It's fun. It's really fun. So we're going to get out of here. We're not going to stay, linger, but I did want to ask you, Monday Night Football, just quick discourse, because this is not, 2025 draft class, but we're 2 years removed. We're 2 years into this now, starting year 2 with JJ McCarthy. Obviously, first year didn't go the way that he wanted it to with the injury. And then Caleb Williams, those guys squaring off against each other. There's been a lot of discussion about like how this game went and what it means for these guys going forward. Like, what can we expect for Caleb? Are things off track? Like, did JJ just like, blow the doors off of it? Are we super impressed? Like, how are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, well, I mean, if we went by NBA rules, JJ McCarthy would be considered a rookie. So why not?
That is true.
So I was pretty harsh towards Caleb Williams pre-draft. Like, I still thought he was a first-round pick, but he was my QB3 in that class. I like Jaden Daniels. I like Drake May as my QB1. I just thought Caleb had some very risky traits coming out of college, right? I called him a slow processor, and people got very upset with me. I felt like he was way too reliant on that, like, college gimmicky big play stuff where he would keep backpedaling in the pocket, or he'd roll way out, and he would cause situations that you can be successful when you're a crazy athlete with a huge arm in college, and those things don't work in the pros. And what I think we saw with Chicago were the plays that were scripted by Ben Johnson looked phenomenal, and the Bears looked great early excuse me, in that game. And then the script ends, and all of a sudden the wheels fall off. And I'm wondering if this is the case where Ben Johnson can only implement so much of that offense per week. And we're going to see a roller coaster of a year as Caleb really tries to adjust to the scheme, because Ben Johnson is going to want him under center. He's not super comfortable there. Ben Johnson is going to want him running play action. He's not always super comfortable. You know, like play action in the shotgun is very different than turning your back to the defense, faking the handoff, and then coming back around. I think all of those things are going to stress Caleb Williams. I don't think that we are anywhere close to understanding if this is going to be a quality starter in the NFL or not. I love the athleticism I saw. He looked more explosive somehow than he has in the past.
I agree.
I think the first like 10 plays of the game gave me the optimism that like he can figure it out. But you have to see that consistently, because they're like, you can't be a good quarterback and have these like roller coaster moments. And so like I still believe in the talent, but I've yet to see a like measurable improvement over the things that concerned me from USC. So like still time to figure out. Let's all come back to JJ McCarthy, but I want to hear what you have to say about Caleb.
Yeah, just I mean, I'm similar to you in that, like, I mean, he's a Bear now, and like it's no secret that we're Packer fans. So like people will call us like homers, but like same as you, pre-draft, he was my QB2, so I can't claim that I had Jaden Daniels above him, because that's a good call by you. But same boat with Drake May was my QB1, and I was same thing. Like I just felt like there was a lot of off-script stuff, a lot of skills, but how much will it translate in the NFL when things happen so much faster? And so I had those concerns as well. But like the traits are still there, and it's just like, can Ben Johnson get him to operate within the offense for a game? Like, you know, because I think that that's probably the biggest thing that you're looking to see. And hopefully that frustration doesn't build up between those two before they can get it worked out. But I think you saw flashes of it. It was just it didn't stick for the whole game, and it seemed like they had a hard time gelling their on-field abilities and play calling like when it mattered late in that game. But JJ McCarthy, like I'll just jump in and say, like, my instincts in this were interesting because I missed the first bit of the game. And so everyone was talking about like how bad JJ McCarthy was on social media. And I tune in and like we're leading like a comeback, and like this is all like going so well for him. And like as someone who like is a fair weather Michigan fan, like this is what we saw. Like the traits are there, but really there's the JJ McCarthy's greatest ability seemed to be his moxie and ability just to get it done. And those are really hard things to measure. And I think that's still why a lot of people coming into the draft had a hard time giving him an evaluation because of his limited playing time, or like, you know, opportunities, but then also knowing like he's a winner and you can't measure that. And it's such a stupid thing to say outside or out loud. You can say it outside if you want, I guess, but like just he's a winner and he gets it done. That said, he's been crowned the offensive player of the week. And like that seemed like quite a stretch for me when you look at the whole of what he produced on the field. So, I mean, he's a rookie. I mean, he's not a rookie. He's a first time starter. I think that there was a lot of really good things to be excited about if you're a Vikings fan. And I think you just have to like, you know, also qualify it all and be like, all right, like he showed a lot also of places where he's going to need to grow as well.
Yeah, and just to step back on the Caleb Williams thing, I do wonder if there's a little bit of the Baker Mayfield career trajectory for him, where he just needs to like mature, take some time, because Baker had some of those like hero ball tendencies as well.
Yeah.
And my hope is that because he was the number 1 overall pick, Chicago gives him the time to develop and doesn't push him out like Cleveland did to Baker, because I think Baker could have had that success in Cleveland. I think it was on the horizon. Maybe he needed the wake up call, but I don't really look at it that way. I think he just needed the time. And I feel the same about Caleb. But JJ McCarthy's not somebody I was super high on. I think I see all the skills, but like he was just a tough evaluation for me because of the way Michigan ran offense. And so I thought it was actually beneficial. I mean, nobody wants a player to be hurt for the whole year, right? But to instead of being thrust into the starting role, which we now know he probably wouldn't have been with Darnold, but instead of that, he got to just sit and learn. And we know the value. You and I, as Packers fans, like we preach that all the time. Like these players who get to sit, Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, like the list goes on and on. They tend to develop better. And I think for JJ, he was afforded that opportunity because of the injury. I think we saw his athleticism on display. That was really nice. There are some wild accuracy issues that reared their head in the first half. And you can say maybe he was just super nervous. And that would be very understandable. And like, that's fine. Maybe it was just all a little bit much for him. The interception was like Nathan Peterman level bad. Like you just don't see pro quarterbacks stare a receiver down like that and then throw late. Like that was atrocious. But Kevin O'Connell seemed to settle him down after that. And so part of me is concerned because all of the offense happened after the Vikings got the running game going. So it's like, if they had never gotten the running game going, would McCarthy have shown up the way he did? The optimist in me is like, man, there are some like serious throws down the stretch, like big time throws.
Big time.
And we know McCarthy has that upside. If he can figure out the consistency, if he can settle down, if he can really run that Kevin O'Connell offense, like watch out. I truly think Kevin O'Connell, one of the best head coaches in the entire league, maybe like a set. I mean, you got to win a Super Bowl to be in the conversation with the Andy Reids and John Harbaughs of the world, but he is outstanding, and so I think his ability to work with McCarthy is really promising, and I have a lot of optimism for what's going to be able to happen there. At a minimum, he has amazing weapons, so that's going to really help his cause.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you just look at that division as a whole. You mentioned the coaching, like you look around the NFC North as a whole, just like an embarrassment of riches. That division is going to be a lot of fun to watch unfold. And the first couple of weeks of college football, first week of NFL certainly did not disappoint. We've had a lot of fun getting back into the season and lots of things to talk about. So stick with us. But thanks for joining us for this show. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show. We'll be previewing a lot more of the 2026 draft that's on its way, as well as just taking a look at what these guys from 2025 are doing week to week as well. But from the draft room to the gridiron, the Draft Fellas have got you covered. Until next time, stay tuned and stay in the game.
Yo, we break it down, strategy in the booth. Yeah, build a roster up, that's the ultimate truth. Murder get fellows, we breaking the lies. Yo, draft day, also watch these players strive. Hey, discussing picks, we analyze every skill. NFL dreams, we got that thrill. From college to the pros,